Alright, everybody, welcome back to Major Movies and TV, and today we're going to be talking about a new Netflix series that just dropped called The Imperfects. And honestly, I did not expect to love this show as much as I did. This is a good show, and I really hope it keeps going after season 1, please. Because this is an actual good show with well-written characters and cool effects and action and like, actually good characters. We have solid characters that are somewhat realistic. In a fantasy world, they make realistic decisions. And it's so good for that. Oh my god, this show is a lot better than I expected. Is it perfect? No, and we'll get into why. But oh my god, it's actually good, and I'm happy about it. The characters are good, the acting is good. Please, before I say anything else about this show, watch it for yourself. Stop watching this video, go watch the damn show. Because I want this show to get a season 2. I need it to get a season 2. If you are a fan of Stranger Things, Lock and Key, or Umbrella Academy, you will most likely like this show. I love all three of those shows, and this show is a lot like those shows in terms of quality, but it's different enough that it's not a copy of those shows. It's good. The characters actually are decent characters, man. Like, I'm happy about this show. I just finished watching it like 10 minutes ago, and I wanted to get this review out because I want people to watch this damn show so it gets a season 2. Please, Netflix, do not cancel this show. Please. Alright, so that's my rant at the beginning here. So first I'm going to talk non-spoilers, and then I'll get into some spoilers, but because this is a whole series, I'm not going to get into super detailed synopsis of what happens, just like a brief, try to keep it at least at the most a half hour, and we'll try to get through that part of it, but non-spoiler review we'll go through real quick, and I'll let you know when I start talking about spoilers. So essentially, we have three main we have a couple main characters in this show. Alright, so the main three are Abby Singh, Tilda Weber, and Juan Ruiz, played by Rihanna Jagpal, Morgan Taylor Campbell, and Inaki Godoy. Hopefully I didn't butcher those names. But pretty much what this show is about is these three characters, Abby, Tilda, and Juan, were experimented on as children. They would take pills their whole life to keep their side effects, suppressed. But one day they started running out of pills. So when they ran out of pills, they started noticing weird side effects. Abby can use her pheromones to control people's emotions. Tilda can scream and has super hearing. And Juan can turn into a chupacabra. Unique powers. I'm happy they went with this because these powers are actually unique. They're different. Like, they're actually interesting powers, man. Like, a chupacabra instead of a werewolf. That's dope. And he can transform whenever. He doesn't have control of it, but, So, a banshee. The banshee powers, at first glance, might not be interesting, but they actually make it interesting. She doesn't just scream, okay? She can hear from super far away. And they do a lot of unique, creative stuff with that in the show that actually makes it interesting. She is more than just a girl who can scream. She has other abilities that are super helpful. Abby, her powers of being able to control people's emotions, they actually have a weight to them. And I'll explain more in the spoilers, but their powers actually have weight to them. They have consequences to them throughout pretty much the whole show. Like you actually kind of see why they wouldn't want these powers throughout the whole show. But you also see how helpful they can be. So it's like, and it goes, the whole point of this show is that, alright, I won't talk about that until I get to spoilers, just in case. But the powers are actually cool, and they actually have weight to them. And then another character in this show is Dr. Sidney Burke is the character, played by Italia Ricci. She's a good character in this show. And I won't be able to name all the actors in the non-spoiler review because some of them it's very spoiler heavy, with some of the actors and what character they play. So I can't talk about all of them. But Italia Ricci does good as Dr. Sidney Burke. Sidney is a cool character. She's essentially the mom of the group, and she's trying to help them, and, she's a solid character. And then we have one of the main villains of the series, played by Rice Nicholson, Dr. Alex Sarkov. And honestly, he was an entertaining bad guy, He was morally interesting, and he actually gave a good performance of what he was trying to do. That was a solid actor, Rice Nicholson. He's a good actor. I liked it. He did a lot of cool stuff with the character, I think, and his attitude and everything, his personality. I liked it. Like, there's just a lot going on in this show, but it all works out very well, and the characters feel realistic. You have no idea how much I hate when TV shows take Gen Z characters. They're supposed to be my generation. I'm 22 years old. They take characters that are supposed to be a part of my generation, and they make them idiots. They make them party animals. They make them annoying as hell for no reason. And I know most of the time it's satirical, but oh my god, is it irritating. These characters actually felt like realistic Gen Z characters for the most part. Like, they felt real. They felt like an actual human, not just a party machine. And it was good. And they felt like they had realistic personalities to match their like, oh my god, it was good Gen Z characters. You have no idea how happy that makes me. Modern Gen Z characters that are actually good. Yes, please. So yes, just basic plot of the show. These characters have superpowers. They want to try to cure their powers, and a lot of craziness ensues. I really can't talk about more than that. But the effects are good. The story is well written for the most part. There weren't any points where I got mad at the show. Not like Lock and Key, where I was like actually getting irritated with the characters. I never got mad at the characters in this show, because for the most part they made actual intelligent decisions. They did. It was amazing. Like, Tilda's character is, like, the character Tilda is literally there to call out bullshit. Like, that's literally her character, and it's amazing. She's just in the background calling out all the bullshit things that normally would go into a plot. It was great. She's so sarcastic and entertaining. Juan is like the innocent guy. He's just like, yo, I'm just trying to be with my girlfriend. I'm just trying to live, and he's very innocent and nice. So, and it works so well because his power is the exact opposite. he's trying to hold back this chupacabra that just wants to eat everything. So him being a very nice person, it works very well. He's a very like innocent guy, and it works. Abby's character, she's this super smart, future scientist, and she tries to be moral about it, but sometimes she just can't, and she doesn't, realize it. Like she's self-serving a lot of the times, and it works and it works with her power too, because her power is to take over people's minds. So she can be very self-serving. She can be very selfish, trying to do what she thinks is right, and she's supposed to be like the scientist person. So it really does work very well. Like, I'm surprised, but this is a good show with good characters. I need people to watch this show, please. But I digress. Now we are going to talk about spoilers. If you don't want the show spoiled, do not keep listening to the video. I'm warning you right now, I'm going to be talking about spoilers. Please do not continue watching said video if you do not want the show spoiled. And I would highly suggest not having it spoiled because it's a good show. Alright, go watch the show and come back, okay? Alright, now we're talking about spoilers. You have been warned. Alright, so pretty much you guys, well, I've already mentioned that these characters come together because their pills for their side effects for their powers, their side effects are, the pills are gone. Like, they don't have any more pills. So they come together and they're trying to figure out a way to fix their issues, because they have these superpowers that are causing, them a lot of problems. So they're going through with Dr. Sidney Burke, and basic idea is this guy, Alex Sarkov, is the only one that can really help them, but he's an asshole. He doesn't want to help them. He wants them to keep their powers because he thinks that, normal people are weak. So he wants them to keep their powers, so he doesn't really want to help them. These kids were experimented on when they were kids because they have like diseases that could kill them, essentially. Like, they have very bad life-threatening diseases, and the what they call a stem cell research and stem cell experimentation solved that problem, but now they have superpower side effects. So they're trying to fix everything, and what happens is this team of people, they're coming after him, called Alright, I forgot the name of the organization, but they're this organization that pretty much is going after the superhero people that Alex Sarkov makes. I can't remember the name. It's like Slux or something like that. Flux, that's what it is, Flux. So they're going after superpowered people. They're chasing down these kids and the doctor, Sidney Burke, to try and, figure out what's going on and to, eliminate the kids. And also there's this other character named Isabel Finch, who is going after the doctors that wronged her in the past, and eventually wants to go after the kids. And what we learn halfway through the season, and this is a big twist, is that Isabel Finch and Dr. Sidney Burke are the same person. Isabel Finch turns out Dr. Sidney Burke was also experimented on, and she transforms into Isabel Finch. And Isabel Finch is a personified version of her subconscious, pretty much. But she looks like a completely different person. So she's secretly been hunting down these doctors without Dr. Sidney Burke knowing. So, big spoiler there. And then, as they go through, Isabel Finch gets the help of another character named Hannah More, who is played by Selena Martin. She's a cool character. I liked her character, but she was a kid who was experimented on but never got any superpowers. So, yeah, that's that. Yeah, there's a lot in this show, so let me clear my head real quick. Alright, so first up, they're being hunted down by this guy, Doug. And Doug is this immortal dude who got powers the same way they did, only he literally cannot die unless he is, like, completely dismembered. Even when he dies, he still feels pain. And he wants to kill himself, essentially. So, he blows himself up, eventually, you know. That part, you know, a lot of this show is about the moral right and wrong, and how there really is no right and wrong. Like, this show is very morally ambiguous. There is no, like, good side and bad side, really. It's just kind of like everyone's trying to do their version of the right thing. So, yeah. So, you know, a lot of stuff happens there. Doug blows himself up. They find out Isabel Finch is going after them along with these Flux guys. And pretty much, eventually, they get caught by Flux. There's nanobots. Oh my god, this show is like, there's a lot that happens in this show. Honestly, let me try to synopsize this a little bit more. I am going to just talk about the characters specifically, because there's so much in this show, and it's so hard to try and pin down everything. So we're going to go character by character instead. So Abby Singh, one of the main characters of the show. Pretty much, she's the one with the pheromone powers. And I liked her character mainly because her powers could actually be kind of traumatizing. What happens is she accidentally makes people obsessed with her, like, sexually. And she even says in the show, at one point, she's like, I have to stay away from my family because I don't want my mom to be attracted to me. Like, that's essentially what she says, and it's true. She's pretty much sexually harassed throughout the show. But she can get people to do whatever they want, whatever she wants, by controlling them through her pheromones. So that's honestly a pretty good, you know, idea, you know. She's a very smart woman, you know. She eventually finds the cure for them, or so they think. Yeah, she does a lot of smart things, but the unfortunate thing is near the end of the story, near the end of the show, she lets her pretty much her mom, she finds out her mom gets cancer, and she lets her drive to find a cure get in the way, and she kind of does a lot of hypocritical things with her pheromones throughout the show. She's kind of like, oh, I'm not going to use my pheromones to control people, but then near the end of the show, what she does is her friend, you know, Hannah More, eventually, you know, she needs her help, and she forces her to try to help her with her pheromones, and she pretty much becomes a moral hypocrite, you know, throughout the show. But overall, good character. I like the idea that she's a scientist trying to figure out what is morally right and what is morally wrong. Now we go on to Tilda. Tilda is a great character. She's a member of a band. She does a lot of, like, sarcastic comments. She's very sarcastic, very straight into the point, very, but a very nice character. Like, oh my god, the characters in the show are so good. Like, Tilda puts on this front of her being super sarcastic and kind of bitchy, but she's honestly like the most caring character in the group. So it's really good. Like, she's very funny. I liked her comments. Her powers are amazing. Like, her powers are the most fleshed out in the series. And it's because at the beginning she can hear everything and she doesn't know how to control it. She can literally hear like a pin drop. And she has to learn how to control that, and eventually she does, and what she can do is she can hear people's heartbeats, hear the movement in their bodies. She can hear like anything she chooses. And she also has her banshee scream. So oh my god, this show is so good. I'm sorry I can't give you a proper synopsis because oh my god, there's so much that fucking happens. Like, and I can't describe it all without like there's so much that happens. It's so good. Alright, so Tilda, great character, probably one of my favorites. It was very sad when her boyfriend died, but honestly, that was one part of the show that I wasn't sure about if I liked. How they handled Juan and Tilda's relationships. They killed off Tilda's boyfriend, and then Juan's girlfriend kind of just disappeared. You know, and I get why that happened, but I felt like it was kind of just like, I know you want Tilda and Juan to be together eventually, because they kind of have like this crush on each other throughout the show, even though they're both in relationships. You kind of have to get rid of the other person in the relationship, and that's what it felt like. That was one of the worst parts of the show, is that it felt like their relationships fell apart because they needed to be together. I hope they don't end up together, honestly, because then it makes what happened to their relationships actually work. You know, it depends on what they do. If they do a season 2, what they do with the characters, because if Juan and Tilda end up together, I don't know. It just felt kind of cheap how they broke up the two from their relationships that easily, kinda. I don't know. It felt a little weird. But other than that, though, the actual relationship between Juan and Tilda is good. I just wish they didn't have to break up their relationships that they were already in by killing off one of them, the boyfriend, and then the other one just disappearing. It's kind of weird to me. I didn't really like that too much. But moving on to Juan. Juan, like I said, a very innocent character. He has this good arc with his family. He's been separated from his family, and he wants to see his niece, but he keeps disappearing on the family. So his brother's like getting mad at him and trying to get him to, like see his family more. And it just, it's a solid arc for him, you know? He wants to see his family, but he's also a chupacabra. You know, he's got all this stuff going on. And, so Juan is a nice character. He writes comic book novels that are really cool. He's like a comic book creator, and that's how he makes his living. He draws them and everything like that. He writes them. So I thought that was pretty cool. Then we have Sydney Burke, which is a good character. She's essentially the mom. And then Isabel Finch, who is her inner demon, pretty much, fighting for control over the body. That was a solid character. She's very mom-like, Sydney, but she's it's just a fun character. This show is so hard to explain without actually having people see it. There's so many characters, so much going on. But all right, so and then we get to Alex Sarkov. He's pretty much like he's like, he doesn't care about anything other than getting his work done. So yeah, that's pretty much his character. He just doesn't care. He's very sarcastic, but actually pretty entertaining. I liked his character for the most part. The actor playing him did a really good job. You know, I thoroughly enjoyed his presence. You know, he was a solid character, and you get some backstory on him, so he doesn't feel like just a average evil villain. You know, he actually feels like an actual person, which is cool. And you see him a lot in the show. He's not like a secret villain. He just kind of is always there, you know, which is good. I kind of like that. Then we got Hannah More. She's more of a side character, but she is an important character in the show. She is kind of like Abby's eventual friend, like best friend, but Abby kind of fucks her over. She gives her pretty much all the Imperfects are immortal for the most part. Like, they don't die easily. So, she gets shot, Hannah. She gets shot by the Flux, and Abby resurrects her because she's upset using the serum that gave them their powers. And then she ends up giving Hannah powers, makes her immortal. And oh my god, there was a screwed up part in the series where essentially this character gets mutated, okay? And he kidnaps Hannah as a hostage in order to get the cure out of the other, you know, main characters. And what he does is he sticks her through a pipe. And she's on this pipe dying and reviving and then dying again. It's so screwed up. I saw that. I was like, oh my god, that's bad. That is so bad. Like, she's impaled and she just dies, revives, and she's like, this is torture. This is literal torture. And I felt so bad for her character. And yeah, that was a rough scene there. But yeah, this show is very horror-like. Honestly, I'd say it's more horror than Stranger Things. Okay, this is a pretty dark show, but it's good. So yeah, so Hannah, she ends up getting other powers too, like super speed and super strength, but she doesn't use her powers as much as the others. You know, she's kind of a side character. She doesn't want to get involved with it too much, but yeah. I think she'll have a bigger presence in season 2, which is good because I actually liked her character. I wish she had more to do. But yeah, so Hannah More is a good character. And then we have Owen, which maybe I can find his actor, maybe not. I'm looking for his actor currently. Yeah, I don't see his actor. All right, so his name is Owen. Pretty much, he is a invulnerable guy. Like his skin is made of copper, and he can't really be cut or bruised or anything like that. He's invulnerable to all their powers, and he's pretty much this kid who wants to be a superhero in his town. He wants to do the right thing, and he uses his powers to do so. But they find out that his brain can be taken over by the copper and make him extremely violent. And because he's invulnerable, the only way to stop him is to use bleach, to have him breathe in bleach. So yeah, that was a pretty cool scene. But he's even more of a side character than Hannah. He doesn't appear a whole lot. It might be cool to see him again in season 2 if we get a season 2. I'm sure he'll come back, but you know, that's kind of how that works. And then pretty much, other than that, there's some Flux agents that they're all right. You know, they're solid villains. They try to be smart, but they end up getting outsmarted. And let's talk about the ending. The ending pretty much is Tilda decides she wants to keep her powers, so she does, and she pretty much becomes a superhero for other people who went through the same thing she did. You know, she saves people. She saved, like, this rat girl in an alley. And, yeah. So, that's cool. She was a character who always wanted to have her powers. She didn't see them as a bad thing. But then what happens is Abby and Juan want their powers gone. So, Dr. Sidney Burke makes them a cure that doesn't actually cure them, you know? So at the end of the show, they all still have their powers, and they could be even worse than before. Like, Juan is now slowly transforming into a chupacabra, and Abby is stuck in a slime cocoon, pretty much. So yeah. So they still have their powers, and in the show, Isabel Finch is fighting for control over Dr. Sidney Burke's body, and Zarkov tries to make it so that Isabel Finch is permanently in control. But what happens is Sidney Burke kind of comes into control. See, this part kind of confused me, okay? So, after everything happens, Sidney Burke she's supposed to be that she got cured. You know, she becomes her normal self again. But Isabel Finch is also still in her body, but they don't necessarily make it seem like it's her right away. You know? It's weird because they don't switch bodies anymore. They're still in the same body, but the same actor is playing two different characters now. Before, they actually switched bodies completely. She transformed into a whole new person, and that, you know, that made it easy to follow, but now she's kind of two people in one body, kind of. I don't know. I wasn't a huge fan of that. But pretty much what happens is she takes over Flux, and they kind of change their whole directive. Instead of killing superhumans, they want all of the scientists that are working on this to come work for them, essentially. And then you find out that the cure that they thought would work didn't actually work. So now all the characters still have their powers. And on the news, there's news that this crazy virus has broken out and is killing people. So I think that the Imperfects, the superhumans, will be immune to this virus. And pretty much what they want to do, I think, is that they want to save people from the virus. And that's what's good about the show and how they keep it so morally ambiguous, because the bad guys, technically, at the end, they're trying to save people. But not in a good way, sort of. You know? Like, that's kind of... no one in this show is, like, purely evil, you know? Like, even Zarkov, they give him a backstory, and what happens is, turns out Zarkov was genetically made in a lab in order to create a super genius in order to fix this impending virus, but he kind of failed them. You know, essentially. So even he's not inherently evil. He was literally raised from a lab in order to be, you know, this social pariah genius, you know? So none of the characters are, like, really evil. Some are assholes, but they're not really super evil. Other than, this one guy, Mark, I believe his name was. The Asian dude. He was evil. I can see him as evil. You know, he pretty much becomes mutated, and he's the one that kills Tilda's boyfriend. And, yeah, so I could say he was evil, but then Tilda ends up killing him over the phone with her scream. So, you know, that was cool. I like that scene. You know, she kind of got what she wanted. Tilda is a great character. Best character in the show to me, personally. I like Tilda, Juan, and then Abby. Even though I liked all three of them, though. So, yeah. Yeah, that's pretty much a synopsis of the show. Not even really. I didn't go into that much detail because there's a lot that happens in this damn show. But watch the show, please. Please watch the show. Alright, so I'm going to end my review there. Go watch The Imperfects. See what I couldn't explain. There's really not a lot that's bad about this show. A few things kind of to me. But overall, solid show, good acting, good characters, well written. This could be one of Netflix's bigger hits. This could be a hit for Netflix. And I believe right now this like Devil in Idaho show is number 1 and Imperfects is number 2. Let's get the Imperfects to number 1, please. Please, let's get the Imperfects to number 1. I think it deserves it. So yeah, let's try to do that. And yeah, so I'll talk to you guys later. Have a good day.